conversational. We've got some prepared questions that we haven't quite rehearsed, but we've tried to work on them together. And then we'll open it up. So we'll spend about 35 minutes just talking with these prepared questions, and then we'll open it up to you all for questions that you may have of us. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll start with the first one. I think it's important for you all to understand even just a little bit about us and our experience to help you understand where we've been. So I'll start off with, tell me about your road to being the CTO of Kimberly-Clark, and what kind of unique experiences did you have along your way?
Sure. Thank you, Alan. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see you, everyone. And this is my first Tech Hackathon event, so I'm really glad to be here. As I think about my career and just some background information, so I've spent about 12, 13 years in consulting, so spent a lot of time in understanding multiple industry, manufacturing, consumer product goods, defense contractors. In fact, I worked at Raytheon Missile Systems, so multi-industry experience. Mainly on technology implementations, business process re-engineering. So through and through drove business transformations along the way. Post that, I spent some time at PepsiCo. So I was part of a office of CTO where I spent almost, we ran about a $3 billion program implementing and driving tech transformation at all our North America divisions. And then from there, I moved on to Pepsi International as the CIO for our APAC region. And from there, so it was a really, really good experience, having spent, being part of the operating business, learning part of emerging market, which I'd never worked there, and really just learning the guts of the business, the operating business. So very, very interesting experience there. And then moved on to become a global CIO at a tech company. It was a tech services company, so very, very, again, global company. 90% of our revenue came from North America and Europe. And then I would say the last 2 years at Kimberly-Clark, where I'm leading a massive digital transformation. Very, very interesting times for consumer product goods company, and so we'll talk a bit more about that. The pieces which is unique about my experience is one, just multi-industry, the operating business, but also some of the along the way drove some M&A, so part of those building carve-outs, global innovation centers across the globe, also driving a lot of outsourcing, etc., outsourcing experience in general. So very, very, I guess, broad background. So Alan, the way I think about it, I've been, done many different jobs. You've been at TI for a very long time, and one company, but very, very different roles. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so although I've been at TI for 34 years, so right when I graduated college 34 years ago, I started at TI. So although our experience levels maybe seem different because I've stayed at one company, I've had many different roles throughout my long tenure at one company. I started actually in supply chain, so learning operations of a semiconductor company and spending time with our factories, both our front ends and our assembly test sites, working on production planning, those kinds of things. Then I transitioned over many years into finance and accounting because that was my discipline that I learned in school. I'm a UT grad, Open Horns. Manoj went to West Virginia University, okay, in Morgantown. So it really went to Big 12, so we played. But for me, it's been just a long, varied career at TI that landed me into the role of the CIO, and it's certainly about learning the business from end to end. And when you do that, I think it can make a difference in your overall career. About 7 years ago, we acquired National Semiconductor. So it's a 45-year-old semiconductor company of about $1.5 billion of revenue, with 3 different factories located and headquartered in Silicon Valley. And In 2011, when we made the acquisition, they asked me not only to be the controller of the business out there, but to lead the integration. So I took a big gulp and some risks and said, absolutely, I'm headed from Texas to California, here I go. And my husband came with me. So it was a great time and a great experience. And when I think about the opportunity along the way of learning end-to-end and connecting the teams from National and TI, and understanding how they run the business compared to how we run the business at TI, and integrating them systems, I guess we integrated all systems at National into TI within the first year. So I got very familiar with IT in that time period. And so as I learned more and more about IT, when it was my opportunity to come back to TI, they said, well, we would like you to come back and lead this organization. You have some unique experience. And I thought, oh, I've got this. Yes, I know IT. And then I walked into IT and went, what? I don't even know what language you're speaking here. And so for all of you IT technologists, it's really an interesting language that we, because I'm one of you now, have. And so how do we elevate that to make it business impact? And that's really where I think the sweet spot of where we are in IT today is. And it's a really fun opportunity with technology changing so rapidly that we can be able to make such a difference for our companies, whether it's a tech company like semiconductors or Kimberly-Clark, a consumer products biz. So that's a little bit about my experience overall and kind of how I grew up. Not that much different. I mean, I had a defense part of my career, a corporate part of it, certainly a business part, supply chain, manufacturing. So, but you know, it seems like we're from very different companies, right? I'm from Texas Instruments. It's more than a calculator company, hopefully you know that. And Kimberly-Clark is more than a diaper company. So why don't you tell us about Kimberly-Clark and so you can educate us on what you all are doing.
Absolutely. So we are, Kimberly-Clark is a $19 billion Midwestern company. Actually, we started, our roots are from Midwest, Wisconsin, Neenah, Wisconsin. We are about, but Dallas is our corporate headquarters. So we moved here about 20 years ago or so. But very, very globally distributed business. Historically, we were a paper company and went through several transitions. We were in a healthcare business. We actually owned an airline, a 140-year-old company. But so all that is, and then we reinvented ourselves into a complete consumer goods company. And we're quite globally distributed, so about 50% of our revenue comes out of North America. And then, so about 7 billion is more on the consumer side. We do have a B2B business. We call it KC Professional, where we serve a lot of the institutions like hospitals and the products which you would be most familiar with would be Huggies, to kids. I'm sure you use Huggies diapers, Kleenex. We have products, family care products, health care products, a lot of family care products, in the bathroom. All of that. And but the way we have a very, very strong engineering foundation, kind of like TI. We actually make our own machines, the one which is used to produce diapers. We have global manufacturing, big anchor markets like China, Korea, Russia, Brazil, obviously North America, UK, and then 70 other smaller countries where we do business. IT is present in about 40 of them. Really, I think the other part I would say is that very, very innovative company, tremendous focus on talent, and our values and culture really very, very collaborative culture. So one is the uniqueness about our culture, which we're very, very excited about, and something I had to learn, and many of the people who come from outside have to learn their culture and fit in their culture. Very, very exciting times for Kimberly-Clark. So tell us a bit about what's happening with all the disruptive industries you guys are in. There must be a lot of innovation happening. So tell us a bit about TI and what you guys are focused on.
Yes, Texas Instruments, as you all hopefully know, we're headquartered in Dallas and we're a semiconductor manufacturing company. We do make calculators. It's a small percentage of our business and really where many of you probably got to know us because you used our calculators as you grew up and became the technologists that you are today. But it is an exciting place to be. We're a $15 billion semiconductor manufacturing company. We design, sell, and manufacture integrated circuits, and that's what we do. That's the core part of what we do as a business today. We have about 33,000 people global around the world. We have factories in U.S. and Europe and Asia and global factories. We have about 20 different factories that we have internal that we actually own, and then we have foundries and subcons that we partner with to ship billions of integrated circuits around the world. When you think about the end markets that we're in end markets such as industrial. Think about factory automation or home automation. We're also in automotive. Think about all the semiconductors that you probably don't even think about all the semiconductors that drive your vehicle, whether it's in your infotainment or your airbag system or your braking system or your lane departure system. All of those are powered by semiconductors, and we hope that there's TI content inside your automobile. I do drive a couple of old automobiles, and I don't think there's much semiconductor content in them, but I'm working to upgrade. The other piece of it is we're in personal electronics, right? Your cell phones, your PCs, your tablets, your wearables, everything you can imagine and that are being imagined around personal electronics. Semiconductors are in those, and we hope that we've got TI content in those, as well as communications, such as all of the network communications, satellites, defense business. We're just everywhere, and so sometimes we don't think about it. But the way I like to describe it to my non-technical friends is, if it's an electronic and it plugs in a wall or runs on a battery, it probably has one or many integrated circuits in it, and hopefully it's TI that's producing those for you. So that's the business that we're in at TI. From an IT standpoint, we have a centralized workforce of IT. We're located globally, but all of IT reports up into the IT organization that I lead, and it's really quite exciting. I have IT folks in many regions of the world, so I travel quite a bit because I try to visit every factory once a year. And so kind of in the home stretch of that, I only have to go to Maine. That's my last trip, and Tucson, but I'm going there. But it is really an interesting place to work. It's been something that's kept me energized for 34 years. It feels like a different company than when I started, because it actually is a different company than when I started 34 years ago. But it's quite exciting to see where we focus, and quite exciting to see the impact that we can make to people all over with the technology that we bring here in the Metroplex is where we're headquartered. So not a whole lot different when you think about a manufacturing company. We're both manufacturing companies, and we both have engineers in lots of engineers in our environment. So it's really exciting to see that we are very similar as we started to get to know each other a little bit better.
Yeah, thank you, Ellen. So, yeah, just a bit about IT at KC as well. So we are, 800 people strong IT organization, quite globally distributed. We have global digital technology centers across the globe. Some of them are mature and well established. Some of the new ones we are building right now. And we have a big business partnering organization, and then obviously engineering and delivery and architecture. So I, just like Helen knew, I travel quite a bit. I have people across in each of the continents and businesses across the board, which I'm responsible for delivering. So yeah, travel is always a fun part of the job. Just tell us a bit, Ellen, about the whole digital transformation, the focus of IT at TI, and how are you transforming your business leveraging IT and technology?
Great, and I think that it's really interesting in the time that we're in today, and how accelerating technology is, and how we as technologists try to figure out how do we determine what's the best thing for our business. It's one of the hardest things I think that we do, is hitting the sweet spot of where we need to go. I constantly have to remind not only myself but my team that we're a semiconductor manufacturing company, not an IT company. And so when I think about that, IT has to enable growth at TI. We have to enable the business to do higher achievements than we've ever been able to do. And so it takes knowing the business. So when I think about the vision of IT inside TI, it's all about how do we enable growth. But one of the things we have to do is manage the risk in our environment, manage the cost or our investment, let's call it that, and manage the disruptions. Think about factories around the world. We have to make sure that the things that we're bringing in, platforms that we're changing, or hardware or software that we're implementing, we have to make sure that doesn't disrupt the business at hand, because that is extremely difficult. So it's balancing all of these glass balls is what I feel like IT has to do. But when we think about what TI needs IT to do, it's really about, first of all, equipping the engineers with great tools that they can use to develop, design, great new products. Our customers want great new products. They're always looking for the best thing that can implement and impact their new killer application or their new piece of technology that they're developing. And so we, as an organization, work with our engineers around the world to provide them those tools to be more efficient, effective, to reuse technology. There's lots of things we're doing, as well as to protect our IP. We think about crown jewels at TI, they're our intellectual property. And so from our standpoint, it's our duty to work with the business so that we jointly protect that intellectual property, whether it's new products or process technology around the world. But now that we've got great new products and great existing products, because we have 80,000 products that customers can buy, we want to make sure we've got demand on those, right? That people want our product. We have a lot of salespeople around the world, so we help them with tools to understand how to connect with our customers. But we have about over 100,000 end customers. So you just can't multiply a sales force in order to touch that many end customers. And end customers don't really want to talk to people sometimes. You know, engineers don't really like to talk to people all the time. So what do? We've got to have a best-in-class website where design engineers and our customers can come in and research our products and understand what they need quickly, and quickly go from research to buy, and then figure out how can we go forward in that. And so that's kind of our demand creation engine, starts with our website, and IT has to bolster that up. It has to be always working. It has to be easy and efficient and personalized, and all of those really fun activities that we're working to drive to have a best-in-class website. And now we've got great new products and a great sales channel and creating demand, but we have to be able to fulfill those orders. And that's what our factory does. Factories fulfill orders around the world, shipping them around the world. And how do we automate our factories so it's less touch and more efficient? We'll talk about that and some of the trends that we're seeing as well. And then now we've got to have an enterprise that glues all of that together. And that's really where IT infrastructure comes in, doing the right projects, bringing in the right platforms. Because in the end, the business cares about great new products, being able to service demand, being able to innovate, and we've just got to make sure that all that we provide can help them do that, and we're kind of the glue that enables all of that to happen. So that's kind of how IT partners with TI in a very broad sense on that. So what about you? When you think about where you can make a difference in IT, and what are the things that you are doing for your company?
Absolutely. So as a consumer products good company, I think just maybe a little bit give you a context around the industry and how that's transforming. So there are a lot of CPGs as you think about retail, and retail got disrupted about 3, 4, 5 years ago. So CPGs are exactly getting disrupted now. Both on obviously there is a growth challenge, and obviously there is a cost challenge, right? So on the growth side, if you think about how we used to engage with consumers, so there is a big consumer disruption which is happening. The way consumers buy our products is changing. Their expectation is completely changing. They want the product now. I heard Amazon has a guarantee in big cities. They'll deliver in 4 hours, and we have a large business in China, and in Alibaba, it's 2 hours commitment to the consumer, to the end consumer. So that is the level of expectation consumers have of our products, that is anytime, anywhere, as soon as they wish it, they should get the product. The other aspect of the change is also high level of personalization. They're expecting highly personalized products. So we actually have diapers which we customize, and so you could order custom diapers for your baby with your personalized logo, name, etc. Whatever you want, you could actually do that and get it out to you very, very quickly. So the point I wanted to make is that yes, so the consumer expectation is completely getting redefined. Our channels are completely getting disrupted, from traditional retail to e-commerce. The massive disruption, the price point with Amazon expects us to to deliver products, because they'll go and they will look every retailer in the world, and they will then figure out what is the cheapest price, and they'll match that. So you are always, and then everybody else has to compete with Amazon to bring the traffic in, and we are a large category. We are a drawing category in the retail space. And then the last disruption is on the private label side, right? So private label in the retail area is also every retailer wants to have their own private label. Amazon have their own private label. So what we call Amazon Basics. So there is a tough competitive environment we are in. And so IT is a key lever for us to really disrupt ourselves and see how do we build the platforms for the future, how do we have visibility on our supply chain so that we are able to react to that 2-hour, 4-hour window of fulfillment. So in a big way, so on the top line side, the way we engage with our consumers, completely getting disrupted. The whole one-to-one marketing, high level of personalization, our ability to engage with our consumers and the brand building, and all through digital channels. None of this is now the traditional ways of marketing works anymore. On the sales side, again, big disruption in the retail. We call it retail execution. Revenue management is a big thing, how we price our product, dynamic pricing. I spoke about the Amazon challenge. So, and then analytics to support all of this, right? World-class analytics. So our Walmart team, our Amazon team, they need to be able to have view of pricing, of the trade spend, everything by minute. So huge level of disruption, the predictability models, so that they can compete and provide the right, relevant, competitive, they can respond to it the other big thing is around supply chain, so big disruption in supply chain. So there's the whole demand signal changes or the supply signal changes, how we are able to react to that very, very quickly.